Let's hit some anytime goal scorers as well as safe shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some freaking money. It's time for Bucket with Jo. Good morning, everyone. We've made it to Friday. It is Friday, March 28th already. It's time for Bucket with Jo over here on SportsGrid TV, on X, as well as on YouTube. I hope everyone's having a great start to the day. Vinny, a good morning to you. We've got 6 games out there on the ice. Now, what the heck happened last night with the LA Kings? They can't allow the Colorado Avalanche to go on that power play. Colorado ended up shutting out the Kings, winning at 4-0. 2 of their goals came on the power play. So I tell you, disappointing to see that game. We did get the under 4.5. We did get the under 1.5 or under 5.5. And if you did all the 4.5, you got that as well in the under 1.5 in the first period. But I tell you, that was crazy. We also saw the Dallas Stars really come alive in that second and third period versus Calgary, winning that 5-2 in a game that I really did think Calgary would be able to hang tight with them after the Dallas Stars were on that second night of a back-to-back. And then, of course, Seattle shot down the Edmonton Oilers last night, getting the nice win and us some plus money. So some great games out there on the ice yesterday, and we've got a loaded slate on a Friday. Now, I always caution you guys on a Friday. I like to call it Freaky Friday because the underdogs really are barking on a Friday. The problem is looking at this Friday slate, some of these teams have a lot to play for, and then some of them don't have much to play for. So looking at some of these favorites, do they really need this win today? And then some of these underdogs, they are fighting, they need the win, but will they be able to get it against really strong favorites out there? So let's jump into today's slate, you guys. If you can hit that like button, hit that retweet button, and hit that subscribe button over on YouTube. Make sure you join me for my daily Cup of Jo. Yesterday, we did 2 Cup of Joes. And if you join me for the Madness Cup of Jo, you went 7-8 on those picks. So let's continue to stay hot out there on the hardwood, on the ice, and make some freaking money. Let's jump into the first matchup here. We're going to talk about the Utah Hockey Club and the Florida Panthers. Now, of course, all odds are from FanDuel. The Florida Panthers over $2 favorite, minus 240 here on the money line, and plus 195 here for the Utah Hockey Club. Now, Utah is on the second night of a back-to-back after, the Tampa Bay Lightning got us over that total themselves in that game, scoring 8 goals, shutting out completely the Utah Hockey Club. So Utah is going to be coming out with a vengeance, but will they be able to score on the Florida Panthers is the biggest question. We got a total of 5.5. I did expect a 6.5, not going to lie. In this one, it's coming in at minus 122 to the over, plus 100 to the under. We're looking at a backup goaltender here for Utah, and then Bobrovsky expected in goal for the Florida Panthers. Now, one thing to note about the Florida Panthers and why I'd be very cautious with them in the first period and why I'm going to ride with Utah in the first period is because we see a couple of teams that haven't played in a hot minute. We haven't seen Florida out on the ice since Sunday, and we did see Utah out there last night. And that's one thing that I love looking at, that situational betting, where this team was in their last couple of games, where they're coming into. With Utah playing in Tampa last night, they're going to have that speed under their feet to take into this game. Now, can they sustain it for the full game versus the Florida Panthers? I don't think so. Florida's still sitting nice and in second in the Atlantic, but let's just quickly pull up the standings here. So second in the Atlantic for the Florida Panthers. They're kind of juggling back and forth with the Toronto Maple Leafs for that first spot in the Atlantic. There's only 1 point separating them, and Florida does have a game in hand. So they definitely want this win tonight. But I think it's going to take them a minute just to get out there on the ice. I'm going to look here, and I don't want to fade Florida. Don't get me wrong when I'm talking about this bet. What I'm going to do is just look at Utah to score a goal in the first period. Come out strong, score a goal in that first period, just to score a goal, and then we don't care what Florida does. Florida can put up 10 in the first period, and we still win our bet as long as Utah scores 1. It's coming in at -120. If you want to go the exact opposite way and you think Florida is going to get off to that hot start right out of the gate, look at the over 1.5 in the first period. That's where I'd go. But I'm going to take Utah for that goal in the first. I think that's their best opportunity to cash is in the first period off of a shutout loss last night. Now they're sitting 6th in the Central. I'm also going to look at Clayton Keller for goal number 25 tonight for the Utah Hockey Club. He's got 78 points, 24 goals, and 54 assists. When we look here at the Florida Panthers, you know there's a couple players we have to circle, and you know it. Brad Marchand is making his debut for Florida tonight. I wanted to leave that for a hot minute here, you guys, but we have to circle Brad to come out so strong. So how are we going to do it? Okay, so let's look at Brad here making his debut for the Florida Panthers. We're also excited to see this. We've seen so many players that have been traded just come out so strong in that debut, and I don't think Brad will be any different in this matchup here, especially versus Utah with a backup goaltender. Looking at Brad for an anytime goal, he's coming in at +210. He's got 21 goals, 26 assists, and 47 points on the season. Anytime goal at +210. You could take him for 2+ points at +420. Magical numbers to my ears, and that first period goal at +800. Brad's getting my money tonight. He better cash for us, you guys. I'll put a third of a unit on all three of those. Brad Marchand to come out for the goal at +210. Brad Marchand to come out for 2+ points at +420. And first period goal at +800. Again, a third of a unit on Brad making his debut for the Florida Panthers. He's going to be so highly impactful, and that is why the books moved them to one of the favorites to win the Stanley Cup with the addition of him. They're going to be deadly out there on the ice, and we know we're going to get Matthew Tkachuk back in the lineup sooner than later for this team. As soon as we head into the playoffs, I think he will be back. Now, Barkov is looking for goal number 20 out there. I would look at Barkov's goal number 20. He's got 64 points on the season, 19 goals and 45 assists. And then there's no denying what Sam Reinhart has been able to do. He's been able to get those goals as of late, scoring the first goal in the last 2 games out there for the Florida Panthers. He has 75 points, 35 goals, and 40 assists. So look at Barkov, Sam Reinhart, and then main story round, Brad Marchand making his debut. But I do think Clayton Keller will get a goal in this one, and Utah scores in that first period. It's going to be a great game. Rob, I am glad that you were able to hit that recap up yesterday. Good to see you here today. Good to see you, Lombardi Lee, as well. Mo and Joe. Yeah, Joe, congratulations on your Kraken. But good morning to each and every one of you. Thank you so much again for being here. Logan Cooley, someone also you might want to note here. For the Utah Hockey Club, I really like what we see out of Logan Cooley. He has been strong. And then Dylan Guenther. Dylan Guenther, I probably like just as much as Clayton Keller. Dylan Guenther coming out here. Since he returned from injury, he's been so impactful. 50 points he's reached on the season, 26 goals and 24 assists. So I do think if you looked at Clayton Keller, Logan Cooley, and Dylan Guenther, looked at them for their points, you would be on the money for Utah because I don't see them getting shut out again. But Brad Marchand, just definitely the best whole unit I'm going to spend today will be on him for his 3 different props within that. Let's move on to the Vancouver Canucks. We're going to look at the Vancouver Canucks versus the Columbus Blue Jackets. Both have a lot to fight for here in this matchup. So looking at the current odds on this one, the Vancouver Canucks are a +108 dog here on the road. -130 here for the Columbus Blue Jackets. We know how strong this team has been at home, especially offensively. Interesting to note, they have lost their last 4 home games. Monahan back in the lineup, you guys. You know that makes my heart so happy to see Monty back out there on the ice. Love the skill he brings to this team, and he came back from injury. I believe it was broken wrist for Monty in the last game versus the Isles. And in that game, he was able to get 2 helpers on the board, 2 assists for him. I'm expecting a big day out of Monahan. So it's definitely someone we're going to look at here. I'm also expecting a big day out of Quinn Hughes. So impactful for the Vancouver Canucks. So both teams fighting for something. Columbus is a -130 favorite at home. I don't love that juice, you guys. Let's find another way to bet them here. We got a total of 5.5. The juice is to the under in this one. Now, we're going to wait on confirmation of goaltending here a little bit because it's on that total. It's Demko expected. Now, if it's Demko in net for the Columbus Blue Jackets, he doesn't have strong or for Vancouver, he doesn't have strong numbers versus the Columbus Blue Jackets. He's gone 2-3 with a 3.58 goals against average and an 866 save percentage. So things haven't been pretty for Demko in his career versus the Columbus Blue Jackets. Now, they're off 2 wins and they're at the Jets on Sunday, so they might be saving Kevin Lankican for the matchup on Sunday versus the Winnipeg Jets because we know how strong this team is. But sitting fourth in the Pacific, Vancouver needs every single win. Now, with Calgary's loss last night, Vancouver did go into that second or the last spot, the second spot in the wild card race in the West, but they're going to need everything they got to hold on to it. I would expect them to start Kevin Lankican here because the matchup on Sunday versus the Jets will be the harder of the two. And I would put your best goaltender here to try to pick up the points versus Columbus. But I don't know what Vancouver is going to do when we look at Kevin Lankican versus the Columbus Blue Jackets. He's 8-3 with a 2.70 goals against average and a 919 save percentage. So he's definitely had more success, and that's over 12 games. So a lot longer of games out there. Only 5 games for Demko versus Columbus. Now, Elvis expected in goal here for the Columbus Blue Jackets, 4-2-1 in his career versus Vancouver with a 901 save percentage. While we still see the goals, those shots just pile up for Vancouver. So the save percentage is a little bit higher, even though the majority, I think the last 4 or 5 games, for Elvis, he's still allowed 3 goals. So I do think those goals are coming in this matchup. I'm going to look at Vancouver. We've got another interesting spot here. The Columbus Blue Jackets are on the first night of back-to-back. They've got the Ottawa Senators on deck. Again, this team still is fighting for something, sitting 6th in the Metro. It doesn't sound like they should be 6th in the Metro, but they could get a wild card spot based on them getting some more points and a couple other teams taking some losses. So lots to play for. Columbus hasn't been eliminated yet. They're going to need to bring it tonight. They're going to need to bring that offense that we've seen out of them at home. Overall on the season, this team on the season at home is 29-5. They've been normally able to get those goals. Now, I don't think they're going to be able to convert on that power play. So that's why a little bit of caution here too with that total, because we look at the kill of Vancouver since the beginning of February. This kill has been absolutely on point, 91.3%. So we've got an elite kill. Vancouver locking down, and that's a lot thanks to Quinn Hughes and what he's been able to do. The last time these teams matched up, we did see Vancouver in December get that 5-2 win. And Vancouver overall, their numbers versus Columbus have been fantastic. 41-15 and 2 in all their games, if I can talk, versus the Columbus Blue Jackets. So we've really seen them be able to dominate this franchise. So I'm going to look at the first period for Vancouver to come out strong. We're seeing another game where Columbus hasn't played for a hot minute. They haven't played since Monday. So I do think with Vancouver winning their last 2, they won versus the Isles on Wednesday. I think they just come out faster out of the gate. This is game 5 of 6 on the road, though, so I'm really cautious with Vancouver for the full game. So I'll take first period money line here for the Vancouver Canucks at plus 102, just because I think they'll get off to that faster start. I'm going to look at a couple of players for their 2+ points tonight. I'm going to look at Quinn Hughes firstly for the Vancouver Canucks. I do think Quinn Hughes will come out nice and strong. 2+ points for him tonight's coming in at plus 255. He's got 8 points in the last 8 games. And I really do think if Vancouver is scoring, Quinn Hughes is going to be part of that. Remember, Elias Pettersson did leave this team during this road trip out with injury. Now Monahan back on the ice. Like I said, he got 2 assists in the last game versus the Isles on Monday for them. I do think he can get 2 points for us tonight in this matchup. So just 2+ points right now on FanDuel's plus 285 for Monahan. He's got 43 points, 14 goals, and 29 assists. So that will put him at 45 points on the season. So give me Vancouver first period at plus 102 on the money line. Quinn Hughes for 2+ points at plus 255, and a Monahan for 2+ points at plus 285. I think this is going to be a great game. Columbus has every opportunity of pulling off the win. I just don't like them in the first period because I think too much rest here, not playing since Monday. So Vancouver's best shot is to start for sure. Kev, you got the sweep yesterday. I'm happy. Let me know what you ended up betting in those bets to get that sweep. I love to hear that. I do think this one goes over too. If you just want to look at the over, if Demko's in the net, and that's where I'm going to go. So if Demko's in the net, I'll go over the 5.5. That's coming in at minus 104. If it's Kevin Lankinen, I think it's going to be a little bit harder for those goals to come, even though I could still see those 2+ points for those guys coming in. Let's move on to the Montreal Canadiens taking on the Carolina Hurricanes. The puck will drop at 7 p.m. Eastern on this. The Montreal Canadiens, fighting to hold on to that last wild card spot in the East. They're a plus 260 dog versus the Carolina Hurricanes team that, remember, they already shut out this season, getting a 4-0 win over the Carolina Hurricanes. The Canes are a minus 330 favorite here on that money line. Now we have a total of 5.5, and the 5.5 is juiced to that over at minus 134. So I can't touch that over at minus 134, but I do think this is a higher scoring game, and I think Montreal puts their share of the goals on. So I'm going to look here at Montreal's team total. You can get Montreal's team total over 2.5 goals coming in at plus 140, and I do think they're going to be able to get these goals. Now, expected goaltending is Frederik Andersen in net for Carolina. Now, Montreal's on their second night of a back-to-back. They're at the Panthers on a Sunday, and then they're home on Tuesday versus the Florida Panthers. So really hard games on deck, but again, this team has to win every battle that they can to try to hold on to that last wildcard spot. They've lost their last 4, and they did fall down to the Philadelphia Flyers after the Flyers fired their head coach, Tortorella, yesterday morning. We saw Michkov, and hats off to you guys that pointed out Michkov. Michkov almost had the hat trick. It's freaking amazing to see what the Flyers were able to do, and a lot of people saying Michkov finally out of his cage under Tortorella, because I don't know what was happening there, but he got benched quite a bit under Tortorella. So Michkov looked amazing in last night's matchup for the Flyers, and we saw the loss there for Montreal. Now, Cole Caulfield did still get us those points. He was able to score that goal. So we're going to go back to him tonight. I do think Caulfield comes out nice and strong. So I do think this would be a live betting situation if Carolina comes out really strong to start. I just don't know their motivation. And this is one of those games. It's a Friday. We know it's Freaky Friday, always out there on the ice. Even at any point during the regular season, Montreal playing for so much more. You look at the Carolina Hurricanes, they are really locked in that second place in the Metro. So they're not really playing for much. Do they need to win this game by 4 goals? No, they don't. Will we have some players looking to hit some milestones, looking to play nice and strong? Yeah, absolutely, especially with them off a loss to the Predators in their last game out 3-1 on Tuesday. But we could see that similar style of game where you just don't see Carolina giving it 110%. Like they need to on any given night to get a win out there on the ice, because these teams that are fighting so hard. Now, Montreal has struggled in Carolina, so it's a really hard pill to take Montreal straight up on the money line and have faith that their heads are in the right place where Carolina's isn't. They've lost their last 11 meetings versus Carolina, and we've seen the Carolina Hurricanes cover the puck line in their last 6 at home versus Montreal. So this is a spot where they should win it by 2 goals. Everything supports that. We know they're the better team, but I tell you guys, it doesn't sit easy for me taking that puck line, and plus you're not getting the value. I think if you do see Carolina go up 2-3 goals in this one, come back in on Montreal plus the 2.5, and at that point, would I sprinkle on the money line? I'm going to have to watch this game to see if I'm going to sprinkle on the money line, because you guys know I'm a freaking sucker for that plus money, and sometimes it does cost me out there. But I could see Montreal really pushing in this one after Carolina kind of gets complacent that they are up to start. Now, Sebastian Aho has 65 points on the season. Seth Jarvis, 54. That is broken down by 26 goals for Sebastian Aho, 39 assists. So I would look at Sebastian Aho for a point tonight. Seth Jarvis for a point as well. He's got 27 goals, 27 assists. So I think looking at those two guys, for the point tonight. They should come out nice and strong here. And then again, like I said, we're going to circle back to Caulfield, goal number 35 tonight, or assist number 30. I don't hate either. Or you could look at 2+ points for Caulfield. I think he has every opportunity of getting it. 63 points on the season, 34 goals, and 29 assists. So Caulfield should come out nice and strong. Patrick Laine has scored a goal in 3 of the Canadiens' last 4 out there on the road. He's got 18 goals, 13 assists, and 31 points. So Patrick Laine should be impactful. You guys know I love looking at Caulfield and Nick Suzuki parlayed for that point. And Lane Hutson did get us an assist last night. He actually got us a couple of points. So Lane Hutson, 56 points, 5 goals, and 51 assists on the season. So he is making such an impact out here as he's really fighting to get that Calder Award over Celebrini. But with Celebrini answering the call last night as well, it's going to be a hard case for Lane Hutson to be able to do it. So I think you look at Montreal, you look at their team total over 2.5. Feels like the safest bet, even though we're getting plus money at plus 140. I just don't think Carolina's defense will lock down as much as we would hope in this game, with them just really locked into place. So good morning, Irish King. I hope your day is starting off fantastic. You're going to take Vancouver on the money line, Florida laying the 1.5. You're going to take Blake for the point at plus 110 on the top line and the top power play. Yeah, you always want to look when you're looking at those guys for the points, and you're getting really good plus money for a guy that is on that top line and top power play. Normally, you're going to have to lay like minus 180. So great way to go in that one. Carolina first period, laying the half a goal. I don't hate that at all. I do think Carolina probably comes out strong to start this game here versus the Montreal Canadiens. The only thing that scares me a little bit with that bet is the fact that they haven't played since Tuesday. Montreal, coming in off the back-to-back, knows they have to get up really strong to start, but we could see a 2-1 first period here as Montreal does put one in, and we see a couple out of the Carolina Hurricanes. So I don't hate it. Good to see you all here today. So the Caps are a fake best team overall. They've lost to my Wild. Yeah, that was a interesting game with Ovechkin last night, and the Washington Capitals taking on the Minnesota Wild. I'm not sure if you guys saw the video of Ovi making all of the guys come out to shake hands with Flowers, Marc-Andre Fleury at the end of that game. Pretty magical moments out there for sure. And we got a birthday boy in the house. Happy birthday, Irish King. Let's make some freaking money out there. Definitely the luck of the Irish and birthday luck should be with you today. So let's do this, you guys. We're going to jump into the next game here. The New Jersey Devils versus the Winnipeg Jets. This is going to be a battle. So we're looking at both of these teams coming in nice and strong into this matchup. The Winnipeg Jets are a minus 182 favorite. New Jersey Devils, I tell you, I hope they're not hanging Jacob Markstrom out to dry, because he does not have pretty numbers versus the Winnipeg Jets, and he is expected in goal. So the New Jersey Devils are a plus 150 underdog. Again, it's Friday. Freaky stuff can happen. The New Jersey Devils are playing for a lot more than the Winnipeg Jets are. So just something to know. It gets kind of sketchy and hairy in these last couple of weeks out there on the ice. Just a motivation where players are actually going to start to get rested as well. So definitely something to note. So the over 5.5 is plus 102 and the under is minus 124. I do expect more goals than I don't on this Friday slate. So, which is kind of interesting because you guys know I like a lot of unders for games, but I'm just not finding it here, even in this situation with Connor Hellebuck being a fortress between the pipes. And now Jacob Markstrom. This is my fear. Jacob Markstrom has an .886 save percentage versus the Winnipeg Jets in his career. It hasn't been pretty. He's gone 2-7-1 in 10 games with a 3.56 goals against average. You guys, that's not going to cut it versus the Winnipeg Jets, who have so many playmakers out here who can absolutely pepper him with shots on goal. Now we are seeing the Devils coming off the win versus the Chicago Blackhawks. Does that impress us? Probably not. 5-2 win or 5-3 win on the road on Wednesday. First night of a back-to-back, they have the Wild on deck tomorrow in Minnesota, and then they'll return home on Monday to face the Minnesota Wild again. And when we look here at the Jets and how they have come into this game, they're off that overtime win versus the Capitals 3-2. So that was a hard game. We look at that game, and it was a 2-1 game until Ovi did tie it up, push it into OT, and then we saw the Winnipeg Jets be able to get the win. Connor Hellebuck did a fantastic job, which was needed because in the couple of games before, Connor Hellebuck had given up those goals. So he's looking back in form. They have the Vancouver Canucks on deck on Sunday before they kick off a 3-game road trip. So that gives me a little bit of hesitance on that Sunday game coming up before a 3-game road trip with much harder teams. And it's not like Vancouver's not a hard team, but the teams that they have ahead of them after that will be harder. They have a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday schedule next week. Now they're sitting first in the Central, and this is where I start to take caution with the Winnipeg Jets. They got 102 points. They've gone 26-6-4 at home in Winnipeg. So not a place I want to fade them. We do see the New Jersey Devils here trying to fight with the spot in the Metro, sitting third in the Metro right now. They're dealing with so many injuries that it's hard to even think that they win, even though it's a Freaky Friday out there on the ice. I do think the best way to just tackle this one is to look at that first period, look at both teams to score. But I think you don't even need to hit both teams to score to get the plus money or to get good value. You just look at the over 1.5 because both teams to score is going to give you great plus money at plus like 180, plus 190. But if you just look at the first period, over 1.5 is coming in at minus 108. That way we can see 2 goals out of either of these teams and still cash our ticket. Now, I would expect those 2 goals to come out of the Winnipeg Jets with their playmakers, but we know that the New Jersey Devils are a team that are fighting, so they need to get these wins as well. Jasper Bratt, Nico Hischier, and Timo Meier, phenomenal players out there that will be hitting the ice tonight. And I know no Jack Hughes and no Dougie Hamilton, but this team really does still have some strong playmakers. So looking at Jasper Bratt, he has 84 points, 20 goals, 64 assists. Nico Hischier with 30 goals, 29 assists, and 59 points. And then Timo Meier, 47 points, 22 goals, and 25 assists. I would look at a combination of all 3 of them for their point tonight. I really do think those points will come for them. They will be able to get a couple goals here on Connor Hellebuck. But what I like even better is just let's look at the Winnipeg Jets, you guys. Let's see where we can get some plus money with the Winnipeg Jets because I do expect them to come out nice and strong at home. Now, could Connor Hellebuck not have a solid game? Yeah, but I'm more than likely off that solid one. We will see him standing nice and tall. But we're looking at Jacob Markstrom, who I don't trust. I didn't trust him with Calgary versus the Winnipeg Jets. I don't trust him with the Devils versus the Winnipeg Jets. So what I'm going to do is take the Winnipeg Jets, who are what? They're coming in as a minus 182 favorite, kind of fishy line, and just take their team total over 3.5. Over 3.5 goals is going to get us great plus money at plus 130, and I expect 4 goals out of the Winnipeg Jets in this one. The last time these teams matched up was just on March 7th, and we did see the Winnipeg Jets get that huge win, 6-1, and yes, they're sitting nice and comfortably first in the Central with 102 points, but I do think there's some players that we can really look to step up in this game. One being Mark Scheifele. Mark Scheifele has been fantastic this season and at home. We're looking at Mark Scheifele with 78 points, 35 goals, and 43 assists. Looking at his goals at home, you guys, 21 goals in 37 games. Just great numbers. But then you look at the cold streak he's gone on as of late, and I hate using the word due. He is due for a goal tonight. Mark Scheifele hasn't scored in the last, let's count them, 9 games. 9 games since we've seen Mark Scheifele net one in the back of the net. So I'm going to look at Scheifele here for the anytime goal, but I also think, look at him for 2+ points. I do think he gets a multi-point night tonight. Mark Scheifele should be in for a big night. Cole Pavetti, the other player here I'm going to look at for the Winnipeg Jets. He has 15 goals, 30 assists, and 45 points on the season. And he's scored a goal in the last 3 meetings versus the New Jersey Devils. So I love players that find their way to score. on team. So Cole Pavetti for the goal, or you could just look at him for the point tonight, and then Mark Scheifele for 2+ points and the anytime goal here for the Winnipeg Jets. And then give me the Jets team total over 3.5. He is definitely on the hunt for 800. So it would be great to see him pick up 2 of those tonight. So it's gonna be great. Reinhart, Connor, and yeah, I don't hate Jack Eichel parlay. Kyle Connor. Are we looking at Kyle Connor tonight for the Winnipeg Jets? I do think that is solid. Sam Reinhart there for the Florida Panthers and Jack Eichel for the Vegas Golden Knights. I think that is a nice one. Kyle Connor, there's no denying his ability out there on the ice for the Winnipeg Jets either. And I do think they're going to be able to convert on this power play tonight versus the New Jersey Devils. So I love looking at the power play points as well. But I think parlaying all 3 of those guys, and I love mixing up players from other teams as well. Chesnikov is back for Carolina, and that's going to be a good one, having him back. I love your guys's love between each other. Yeah. Irish King, again, happy birthday from Mo. So let's jump into the next game. We got 2 games left, you guys, and I promised myself I wasn't going to talk as long today since coming back after having a couple days off. Man, these shows have been long, so trying to get you the information as quick as possible, you guys, and try not to squirrel as much as well. The Vegas Golden Knights taking on the Chicago Blackhawks. 8:40 Eastern puck drop on this game. Vegas, another huge favorite on the day. Sitting first in the Pacific, they're 4 or 5 points, 4 points, I believe, ahead of the Kings for that first spot in the Pacific. So they're not like solidified in it. They still need to get these wins. They're facing a Chicago Blackhawks team that's a plus 255 dog at home. God, you guys know I'm so tempted always by these dogs to be able to get the win. We got a total of 6.5, the juice to the under at minus 128. I wish I could say the dogs were totally barking today, but I'm just not feeling it. I do think Chicago probably keeps this one tight. The last time these teams matched up, we did see a 7-5 win for the Vegas Golden Knights in a high-scoring, explosive game out there. We look at what Vegas has been allowing goal-wise as of late. The last 4 games only allowing 1.75 goals per game on average. And then Chicago, they've given up 4.4 goals per game in their last 5. Like, the Chicago Blackhawks need to find a way to play some defense out there. Spencer Knight looked like he was going to be the answer for Chicago in his debut, and he's allowed those goals to come in ever since that debut. So first night of a back-to-back here for Vegas. Normally a tough spot when you got a hard opponent on deck. I was hoping they'd have a team like the Capitals, the Carolina Hurricanes, but they don't. They have the Nashville Predators on deck tomorrow. Then it's interesting because after the Predators tomorrow, they have a couple days off. Tuesday, they face the Edmonton Oilers, and Thursday versus the Winnipeg Jets. So that is an interesting look ahead. But a Saturday game looking ahead to a Tuesday. I think Vegas loses either today or tomorrow. Like, I think they're in for one loss here after underestimating one of these teams. Does it come tonight? Chicago's been so inept offensively that it's hard to say they're going to get it. Now, in their last game versus the Devils, they did put up 3 goals, but much stronger defense for the Vegas Golden Knights. The only thing about Vegas is Thomas Hertl's still out of this lineup. So I am a little cautious here. I think you look at Chicago's team total over 2.5. And that is getting us plus money. Just give me 1 second. Sorry, guys, I had a tickle in my throat. So Chicago's team total over 2.5 is coming in at plus 124. Will Aiden Hill allow those goals to come from Chicago? It's a hard one. At plus 124, it might be worth a shot, but I also think you probably just look at Vegas to come out and win the first period. The Vegas Golden Knights in the first period. Let me just pull up odds here because I'm forgetting the numbers off the top of my head. The puck line for the Vegas Golden Knights laying a half a goal, it's only plus 104. And I guess that's why I was kind of like writing it out of my mind because I'm not getting the value that I want on a puck line. We know Chicago has got off to some hot starts, but have been unable to hold on to those leads. So I don't love this game, you guys. I think this game feels kind of weird on a Friday because we should see Vegas win this 5-1, right? And then push us over that total and cover. No, that would keep us under the total. Let's just take the under 6.5, you guys. Minus 128 to the under 6.5 is where I'm going to go. I keep going back and forth with this game, but I do think the under is where you want to go. Let's look at the last game on deck here. The New York Rangers taking on the Anaheim Ducks. Current odds on FanDuel. I just went off that tab, so let me open it back up here. The New York Rangers are minus 166 favorite. The lines are starting to shift. Money has been coming in on the Anaheim Ducks, so interesting to note there. The Ducks are off a win, and this is not a place you want to bet the Ducks. The Ducks off a win struggle in that next game. They don't carry that momentum in. They normally fall flat on their faces taking a loss. So plus 138 if you have faith in the Ducks, total of 5.5. Minus 140 to the over and plus 114 to the over. Igor Shesterkin versus Dostal. Now, there was a point where Dostal was just saving everything that was flying at his net for the Ducks this season, and I just don't think he'll be able to do it here versus the New York Rangers. I'm going to look at this game to be a win for the Rangers. I don't think the Ducks can push them to overtime, so I'm going to look at the Rangers in reg in this one. The regulation bet coming in at minus 110. So it's also called on your books if you're not seeing Rangers in reg. It's a 60-minute money line bet for the New York Rangers. So even if they win in overtime, you're not going to win your betting on the Rangers in reg or the Rangers 60-minute. It has to be in the regulation time. So I'll take the Rangers there. First night of a back-to-back for the Rangers, but they're the Sharks on deck tomorrow. So they're not going to be looking ahead. They're going to be trying to pick up these points tonight, because when we look at the New York Rangers and where they're sitting, they've played 72 games, have 74 points. So the Montreal Canadiens, because they're fighting for that last wild card spot, have 75 points in 71 games. So the Rangers have played an extra game over Montreal and have 1 point less. So it's dire here that they do pick up these points tonight. And then when we look at the Anaheim Ducks, the poor Anaheim Ducks, they're sitting there with 71 points in 70 games. Utah sitting above them, 72 games with 75 points. It's just a matter of time before the Anaheim Ducks are officially eliminated from the playoff race. Ducks fans, don't shoot the messenger for saying that. So it's been a hard season for the Ducks. We have seen great success out of Leo Carlson, though. I love what we saw out of him. I think this is going to be a bright team for the future. Troy Terry as well. But the Ducks, it's come down to that defense and that goaltending, and they're going to need to make some moves before next season to try to improve. Now, they did come off a win versus the Bruins 6-2 in their last game out, which I wasn't expecting. I expected the Bruins to come out stronger and for that to be a lower scoring game, but the Ducks did come flying out of the gate. And when we look here at the New York Rangers, they took that loss to the LA Kings. The Kings locked down, winning that one 3-1 in their last game out, sitting fifth in the Metro right now. And the last time these teams played, it was a 2-1 win for the New York Rangers. I could see the Rangers winning this 3-1, 3-2. So a lower scoring win here for the Rangers, unless they just explode on Dostal. But Dostal has had some really solid games out there, so kind of cautious with that total. So you guys, that is where we're going. We're going to do the recap. I'm glad you liked the intro video for sure. And let's see, Kev, what did you cash in on last night? You had Montreal's team total over 3.5 at plus 124. The Kings and the Avs first period under 1.5. I love it. And the under 5.5 in that game. The Kraken on the money line, the Lightning's team total. God, that was a beautiful team total. They hit 8 goals, and the Bulls +4. And the Cubs on the money line. Great night for you, Kev, out there. I'm so glad you were able to sweep the slate out there last night. So let's continue with that momentum. Everyone throwing out those happy birthdays to you, Irish King. Yeah, we'll definitely get into those player props. So let's jump into this recap, you guys. We'll do the player props after this recap. There's a couple players I really love for the 2+ points. So when I give you a couple players for the 2+ points, my best advice would be to take those players that you like, take them for 1+ points parlayed with the other players that you like for the 2+, and then play around with it. Because if you're putting like a half a unit on the 1+ and in a parlay, and then you take the 2+ outside of that parlay for a quarter, you're kind of just going to cover yourself there. So we'll get into those player points. Let's do the recap first. You guys are absolutely the best for joining me. And if you can hit that like, retweet, subscribe button, you know it helps me so much, and it gets this video out to more people. And the more people that are seeing it, the better it is for all of us. Let's all make some freaking money together. So recap time. The Utah Hockey Club versus the Florida Panthers. I'm cautious with the Florida Panthers because they haven't played since Sunday. Utah's coming off the second night of a back-to-back. If they have any chance of getting the goals on Bobrovsky, I think we get off to a slower start for the Florida Panthers here. And Utah scores a goal in the first period. That does not mean I'm taking Utah for the first period. I'm just going to take Utah to score in the first period. We're getting that at -120 after their shutout last night by the Tampa Bay Lightning. Clayton Keller, I'll take for goal number 25 tonight. I love Clayton Keller to come out nice and strong in this one. Logan Cooley and Dylan Guenther as well. Those are your 3 players for Utah. Storyline of this game, Brad Marchand making his debut here for the Florida Panthers. I am all over him tonight to be so impactful for this team. I'm going to take 1 full unit, split it into 3 bets for Brad Marchand. I'm going to take him for the anytime goal at +210. I'm going to take him for 2+ points at +420. And then you guys know I have to look at that first period goal for Brad Marchand coming in at +800. If he doesn't get any of them, we've only lost 1 unit. Don't put 3 units on Brad Marchand tonight. Too much to put on 1 player. But I do think in his debut for the Florida Panthers, he is going to come out so strong. Now, Reinhart is another player you want to look at for his point. And then Barkov for goal number 20 here for the Florida Panthers tonight. This should be a great night against a backup goaltender and Utah on the second night of a back-to-back. We're going to then look at the Vancouver Canucks versus the Columbus Blue Jackets. We are unsure of goaltending right now. If it's Demko in net, I do expect Columbus to be able to pepper him. Demko has awful numbers versus the Columbus Blue Jackets in his career. If it's Kevin Lankican, I do think this should be attending to a lower scoring game, even though Elvis has allowed those goals and Kevin Lankican has been strong. So if Kevin Lankican gets a start, I could see a story where Vancouver gets a win. If Demko gets in, I'm all over the Columbus Blue Jackets, especially if they go down at first. I'm going to look because they haven't played in a while for Vancouver again. I'm fading these teams that have been off the ice. Vancouver moneyline first period. They are coming off a game on Wednesday versus the Isles. I do think that they come out strong in the first period and they have so much to play for. Both of these teams do. So give me Vancouver first period on the money line at +102. Give me Quinn Hughes for his points tonight. 2+ points for Quinn Hughes at +255. But like I said, Monahan is back on the ice for the Columbus Blue Jackets. He is going to be impactful. He was in the last game versus the Islanders in his return on Monday. He was able to get 2 assists in that one. So I'm going to look at Monahan for the 2+ points tonight at +285. I think this game, as long as Demko and not Lankican goes over the total, Vancouver might save Lankican for the matchup on Sunday they have versus the Jets. But their kill has been insane since the start of February. So I want to look at the power play points for Columbus tonight, even though we know that they're able to score on it. So a lot to play for those teams. That should be a great one. The Montreal Canadiens versus the Carolina Hurricanes. I struggle to see what Carolina's playing for right now. They're locked in that second spot in the Metro. It is a Freaky Friday. I do think one of these big dogs is barking. Between Montreal and Chicago, I expect one to get the win tonight, you guys, which is a dangerous situation because you're looking at 2 favorites that are elite out there on the ice. The Carolina Hurricanes are a $3 favorite. They're off a loss to the Predators in a game. They really just didn't get off the bus. And I'm looking at this one. Will they get off the bus tonight? I do think Montreal will put up some goals, but I'm cautious with it. I'm just going to take Montreal's team total over 2.5 at +140. We're getting great plus money. If you're getting a +120, don't hit it. It's not enough value. I do think at the +140, I'm willing to hit, but I do think a live betting situation as well is in play. If Carolina goes up first, then we see Montreal coming back in at +2.5 on that puck line is where I want to go. I would look at the player props before I looked at actually the side or the total in this one. I like Cole Caulfield for goal number 35 tonight. we know he always steps up for his team. He's been elite. Even on that PK, he's been able to score getting those shorties. So goal number 35 for Cole Caulfield, or you can look at his assist number 30. The 2+ points for Cole Caulfield, I do think, is in the works as well. You know, Nick Suzuki, we love to parlay together, and Lane Hudson. So on the other side, it's Seth Jarvis and Sebastian Aho. I would look at parlaying, but again, this game kind of scares me. I'm flirting with getting to the window and sprinkling a little bit on the money line for Montreal, a little bit on the money line for Chicago. I do think one wins today. It's scary. The New Jersey Devils and the Winnipeg Jets. Jacob Markstrom, if in goal for the New Jersey Devils, the Winnipeg Jets have to be able to go over 3.5 goals. He has just struggled versus the Jets in his career. It's not pretty. 886 save percentage of 3.56 goals against average. I can't trust him. I'm going to look at the Winnipeg Jets to go over 3.5 goals. That's giving me plus 130. I do think we see the goals hot and fast in the first period. I'm not going to take both teams to score because I could see both goals coming out of the Winnipeg Jets. I'll take the over 1.5 in the first period at minus 108. We do have playmakers here, but Connor Hellebuck has been so solid between the pipes for the Winnipeg Jets that I would look at the points over looking at the goal because I don't know who to narrow down just for that goal. So Jasper Bratt, Nico Hischier, and Timo Meier would be the players I'd look at for the points tonight for the New Jersey Devils. And when we go over to the Winnipeg Jets, I think they're going to get 4 goals on the board. Like I said, that gets us plus money. I think Mark Scheifele is due for the goal, and I hate that word due, but he's been so strong at home. He's been so strong on the season. He hasn't got a goal in the last 4 games at home, the last 9 games overall. He is absolutely due for a goal tonight. So 2+ points, I think, is in the works for Mark Scheifele as well, who rolls in here with 78 points. That will put us at 80 points tonight. And then Cole Perfetti has been able to score a goal on the Devils in the last 3. So I'll look at Cole Perfetti for the point or just a goal tonight. You could look either way at him. He's got 15 goals, so limited goals on the season, but this is a team he can score on. The Vegas Golden Knights and the Chicago Blackhawks. Like I said, between Montreal and Chicago, I think one of these dogs will get that upset win here on a Friday. We are seeing Vegas on the first night of a back-to-back, so it could be the Vegas Golden Knights here taking the big loss as they have the Predators on deck, and it's not like they're looking ahead to the Predators. Teams just get kind of complacent, especially a team like Vegas. They are still 5 points ahead of the LA Kings, and I do think they could take one of these games not as serious. I think they either lose tonight or lose tomorrow versus the Predators. So they've won their last 4. They got that big win on Tuesday versus the Minnesota Wild. I think you just look at Chicago plus 1.5 on that puck line at plus 102, or just the under 6.5. Like I said, it's juicy at minus 128, but you know, you could see the storyline where Vegas does cover the spread. They actually care in this one. You guys threw out Jack Eichel for the anytime goal, and he's so competitive out there. You know, Jack Eichel wants to get that goal on the board. Thomas Hertl's still out of this lineup, and there's not much to say positive about, Chicago. We were able to get Tyler Bertuzzi for goal number 20 in his last game out. Connor Bedard has been stepping up. We know we like Teravainen as well. So there's some playmakers that's going to be hard based on how Vegas comes out. And then the Rangers versus the Ducks. I don't think the Ducks are quacking tonight, you guys. They're a short favorite here at home. I think the New York Rangers take care of things in regulation. I'll take the 60-minute money line, the regulation bet here for the Rangers coming in at minus 110. I do think, if anything, if you really want to play around with this, laying the 1.5 with the Rangers at plus 144. If you're getting better value, I don't like it at plus 144. If I'm getting a plus 160 at any point, either during this game or as the day goes on, I will be looking at jumping in on the Rangers on that puck line at great plus money, because if I think they're going to win in regulation, they have to have the opportunity to cover that puck line. If you think this game's going to overtime, of course, don't take that puck line, because then it's a 1-goal game. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one shakes out. So that's the recap, you guys. Let's go into, Thomas Hertl was always getting us that point. Let's talk about those player props for sure. Okay, Kevin Lankinkin confirmed for the Vancouver Canucks. This was the smartest move that the Vancouver Canucks made, saving Demko for the next one, giving Kevin Lankinkin the start here. Kevin Lankinkin has really solid numbers, Mo. I'm so glad you were able to get confirmation of that. It's hard for me to look for confirmations while we're doing the show. Kevin Lankinkin's gone 8-3 versus the Columbus Blue Jackets in his career with a 2.70 goals against average and a 919 save percentage in 12 games versus Columbus. I do think Vancouver takes the first period still. I do think this probably stays under the total now of 5.5. The under 5.5 is coming in at, let me just see the under. I had like the over with Demko with Lankinkin. I do like the under. It's coming in at -112. Kevin Lankinkin has to stand on his head. Vancouver's playing for so much in this game. I still do think, and now it's dangerous, we could still get Quinn Hughes for the 2+ points, and we can still get Monahan for the 2+ points. I think this is a 3-2 finish between these two teams. Just like we're going to sweat that under 5.5. I think it's going to be, it's going to be a hard one to stay under, but I think we get there. So let's get into those player points now, you guys. Again, thank you so much for throwing out that information as we go. Vancouver has been unreliable. They're most unreliable at home on the season. So I like Kevin Lankinkin in goal. Out there on the road, they've gone 20-17 on the road. And I know Columbus is so strong at home, 25-9 and 5 at home and 29 on that puck line at home. I would probably stay off his side except for the first period of Columbus. So that's a recap, you guys. Let's look at some of these players, where my best player props are. I do think you look at Clayton Keller for Utah. He's going to be pissed that they got shut out last night. Goal number 25 for Clayton Keller is in the works. Now, on the other side, this is all about Brad Marchand coming out here. He is my favorite player of the day. If you're going to take anything, take Brad to come out making his debut. Great. Now, if you don't want to look at him for a goal, if you don't want to look at him for the first period goal, just look at him for the 2+ points, or take his 1 point. And I want to see what his 1 point's coming in at, because I didn't even think to look at the 1 point because automatically I wanted the 2, and see if we're getting any sort of good value. I'm getting him at -140. So if you just want to take Brad for a point tonight to come out strong for Florida, you can look at adding that to another player prop out there. So you could take Brad and Clayton Keller, because I think both of them, even though they're opposite teams, and that's coming in at +162. So putting both guys in for that point. So Brad is highly circled, Brad Marchand, Clayton Keller on the other side, and then Barkov is loading for goal number 20. And I do think he gets it in this one. Quinn Hughes and Monahan, both for 2+ points tonight. Again, looking at just a 1 point, parlaying it with Brad would be a great way to go. I'm going to go back to Cole Caulfield for goal number 35 for the Montreal Canadiens. Love it. Favorite bet for the Winnipeg Jets is Mark Scheifele for that goal, or 2+ points. I think he's in for a huge night. So those are the players that I'm absolutely loving out there on the ice. You guys, oh, Mo, you have to mention that. Yeah, Bobrovsky, 49 career shutouts, looking for number 50. That did not hit my radar. I absolutely love that. So if you believe that is loading tonight, you got to be very cautious here if you're taking Clayton Keller and Utah. That is for sure, because that means they're not going to get on the board. Now, I'm not seeing confirmation, no odds right now of Bobrovsky for that shutout. And it's going to be, let's just look at, let's pull up Florida's full schedule, you guys, to see. Because if he's at that point, we've got to Florida Panthers. I'm getting Florida for the Sweet 16. Okay, so they have Montreal on deck for 2 for the Florida Panthers, and then the Leafs, the Senators, and the Red Wings. So they've got some good games where he has a possibility of getting the shutout. I do think that shutout could come versus the Buffalo Sabres on April 12th as we get further into the season. But Utah being shut out last night, it's not out of question, because we have seen these teams be shut out in multiple games this season. So you're going to play it, good luck with your bet there. I don't know if I can get there, but now that you threw it out, I kind of want to get there, Mo. So love where you're going with that. But you guys, all the best in all of your bets. We kept it under an hour today, so nice pat on our backs for being able to do that. You guys, again, I appreciate each and every one of you for being here on the daily in the comments. If you can hit that like, hit that retweet button, and drop what you're liking today. I so want to hear where your guys are going. Let me know those point parlays, who you're going with, so that we all can make some freaking money together. And you guys know, if you're passion bets, I'm shouting you out as well, because this show is about the community here that we have made between X and YouTube. And I appreciate you guys. Without you guys in the comments every single day, the show would not be as much fun. I don't like doing the recorded where we don't have the interaction. So thank you guys so much. Again, this is our 4th season of Puck It with Jo, 5th season of Puck It with Jo, talking NHL on the daily. I will be sad when this season is over. We're rolling into that magical time. Playoff time is right around the corner. So again, caution with this time of year, with those huge favorites, who has something to play for and who doesn't. Be smart with your betting, you guys. Make sure you manage that bankroll. Don't bet your mortgage on anything that we are talking about. You guys know that. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here on the daily. So all the best in all your bets. We'll see you tomorrow, noon Eastern, here on the grid. If you're new, yes, we go every single day that the NHL is up. So you guys, all the best in all your bets. See you tomorrow.